All right, all right. Dang, it's a packed house in here. If I had to guess, I would say that you guys are all fans of Telltale Games. Am I wrong about that? Yay? Nay? Awesome. Well, my name is Malik. I am the gaming officer of the Nerdist Empire. If anybody's heard of Nerdist.com. Anybody heard of Nerdist.com? Anyone? Awesome. That's awesome. That's great. But yeah, today we're going to talk to the guys from Telltale Games. There's some important people here today. You know, they've brought a lot of memorable experiences to us, and they're going to flesh out some of the stuff that they're working on, talk about some new stuff that's coming in the future. So why don't we go ahead and get this thing started? You guys ready for this? All right, South by Southwest. Hey, guys, why don't you come on out, Telltale? All right. High fives. High fives. Yeah. 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 Have a seat. One down?
No, you're good. We're good.
I'm good. We're good. We're perfect. All right. How you guys feeling?
Good.
So let's go ahead and give intros to all these people. For those of you who might not know about these incredible people sitting here, we'll start with the CEO of Telltale Games. Kevin, tell everybody about yourself.
I'm Kevin Bruner, the co-founder and CEO at Telltale.
We should speak into the microphone.
I am Kevin
you hear us?
Bruner, the co-founder.
My name is Kevin Boyle. I'm an executive producer for The Walking Dead and more recently for Minecraft Story Mode.
Woo!
Yes,
Some
Kevin.
clapping for that one.
My name is Job Stoffer. I'm the head of PR, communications, Twitter, Facebook, video game, fun times on the internet. And I am here for this panel.
My name is Pierre Charette. I'm a writer on The Wolf Among Us, Walking Dead, and Tales from the Borderlands.
Woo! Yes. All right. So you guys you're just always busy. I swear. Every time I talk to you guys, there's something else on the table. And let's talk about something that hit the news recently that you guys are actually working on. But first off, these are all the amazing games. You guys recognize these games, right? We have Game of Thrones, which is amazing. Tales from the Borderlands. The Wolf Among Us, which actually won an award last night. Am I correct in that one? Yeah. Best narrative. That was awesome.
Thank you.
And then we have The Walking Dead Season 1 and Season 2. Clementine, she's so cute. Look at her. All right. But moving along, there was something that happened recently in the news. I need to know about this. I am super curious to know what is a super show? What is this?
So, one of the things we just announced is we're starting to develop a new thing called a super show. And it is kind of an extension of what we have already done. And we're kind of combining together what we do with video games and trying to introduce a more television-style element to it as well. So a super show, or our first super show, is going to be episodic, the way a Telltale game is, but every month or so you'll be getting a Telltale game that you can play and like a 40-minute television episode that you can watch that are designed together, and some other extra stuff around them as well. Some other
Stuff and things.
software things and consumables. But that's basically what the premise is.
Okay.
And,
So what are you guys going to do differently with this? I mean, because I know this is a model that other games have tried. For instance, I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of Defiance, but that was a model. They kind of tried to mix like television with video games. Are you guys going to do anything differently?
Yeah, I think certainly there's things that sound like this before, but the biggest difference is we haven't announced exactly the details of what the first super show is, but we've been working on it for a little bit more than a year, and we've been working on it with a partner that really gets what we're trying to do. And the genesis of this has been very much grounded in how to make it playable, how to use the medium to tell the best story we can possibly tell. So the very kind of seed of the idea wasn't wasn't generated from like, hey, how if you had a video game and a television show and some other stuff, how would you put all those together? We started thinking of a story that was like, wow, with this story, you could do an amazing thing if you had these components to contribute to it. So it's really grounded in craft and in creative, as opposed to the fact that you can run a wire between a TV and a computer.
So they're going to be more cohesive.
Yeah. The writing room for this has been filled with creatives from many, many different disciplines, television, games, other mediums. So it's really a very ground up, very organic effort, as opposed to transmedia.
Yeah, it's. I think we've been saying, people have been asking us for the longest time. When Telltale, we really, we've been playing The Walking Dead, we've been playing Borderlands, Wolf Among Us, but like, when are we going to see you guys do an original property? We've sort of dabbled in the past with things like, Puzzle Agent, probably things that, I don't know if there are any old school Telltale fans here, but the first sort of big budget, sort of mass, giant scope, original IP for Telltale will be this first Super Show. It's interesting because, we announced it, that we're doing this kind of project. We haven't announced who we're doing it with yet. That is yet to be determined. We will be doing one with the folks at Lionsgate.
Oh, so this is what you guys were partnering with Lionsgate to do.
Well, we will be doing one with them at some point, but it's fair to say that the first one that we do will be with someone that we haven't announced yet, if that makes sense.
Okay, so the second Super Show is with Lionsgate.
An eventual Super Show.
Yeah.
Okay.
The partnership with Lionsgate is really fascinating, particularly here at South by Southwest, because it's film and games and all that. But that kind of came about through our usual dealing with partners and trying to find projects to work on. And the more we got to know the folks at Lionsgate, the more they saw what we were doing with Super Shows and with our regular series that you're familiar with. And we looked at what they were doing with Netflix and some of the more kind of digital projects that they were working with. And it was just, we kind of really clicked with them. Both companies are really, really interested in the way that you can tell stories through this new mediums and getting away from kind of the one-size-fits-all story and the more customized stories for everybody.
Gotcha. You know what? I think the Super Show concept is an amazing one to me, because there's just so much cohesion that you guys take these IPs and you find a way to make them fit in the games. I would say, like, for The Walking Dead, I read the comic, I watched the show, but my favorite form of consuming The Walking Dead has to be the game, Yeah.
Right?
I would say that. Can you guys agree with that? Yeah. So I'm definitely interested, and hopefully, I think this will work. Defiance let me down for the simple fact that it just felt like two separate things,
Well, I played it too, and I was definitely looking forward to that. And I think that the difference is between somewhere where we're going with the Super Show versus something like Defiance. The show was a show. The game was a sort of a third-person online MMO style, shooter.
Exactly.
We're developing all of our games. If you haven't caught on, it's like a playable TV show. It's like a playable movie. The way that we talk about it, we develop our games in the language of cinema. So when you're watching a TV show, you're watching a movie. There's camera editing, there's characters, different scenes and sets and scripts. It's all story first. We're in the writer's room with guys like Pierre. Say hi, Pierre.
Hi.
Developing a game and a TV show together at the same time in the same language, where you're going to be able to watch something and then play it, and the thing that you're playing is sort of visually familiar in that cinematic language is kind of a big part of the difference, because it's not like, there are a lot of people that watch TV and watch movies, but they don't play games because they aren't really used to third-person action or shooters, but they're used to sort of the same language that we're telling stories in as games. So getting these two things together, happening at the same time, and building something original at the get-go is kind of, it's at the core of the idea. And we get super excited about TV. about games and about movies, and that's why actually we love coming to South by Southwest. We're here for. Anyone see any movies here? You guys are here all at the Gaming Expo. Anyone see any films or short films or anything? I recommend that you go if you get the chance. We like to go out. There's like screenings all over the city. Austin just is taken over by film and TV premieres. We saw a bunch on Thursday, Friday. Last night we saw something called The Invitation.
Blew my mind. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's whenever that opens, check it out. It's not for kids.
Well, I will say that I'm the type that consumes lots of video games. I will stay inside the house and play a video game. I'll play a Telltale game. So you guys are helping me with like good story. If I need a good story, I can consume that through a Telltale game as opposed to a movie. So this is awesome. This is excellent. And I'm going to be stalking you guys to find out more about Super Show as the details roll out on that moving forward.
We see ourselves more as storytellers and game makers kind of at the same time, and just mashing all of these mediums together. It's a lot of fun, and just coming to South by and being able to play games and also see film, and just talk to game developers and storytellers and go out and consume it. It's just a whole lot of fun. Actually, we were here last year for Tales from the Borderlands.
Tales
from the
game.
Borderlands?
What?
We showed off a couple of the first screenshots, and I remember we went out. We saw some movies at the Alamo Draft House. Where's Tales here? Yeah, we partnered with you guys at Nerdist.
Yeah, I remember that.
We flew out to Dallas with the guys at Gearbox, and we actually premiered our game live in front of an audience, just like you guys would be sitting here. We'd be playing live on a big screen, a movie theater. And that's kind of one of the things that we kind of like tapping into is that energy of playing live in front of an audience. Does anyone play Telltale Games like with your friends or family in a group setting? Anyone? Raise your hand.
Raise your
play
hand.
With your yeah. See. So
Nice.
yeah, awesome. So
you guys know what it's like when people are screaming their choices and you have to ignore them and just go with your heart, right? So.
The real way you find out about somebody is you play a Telltale game with them, sitting on the couch with them. And then you're like, I can't believe I knew nothing about you. And you're Team Kenny? Really?
yeah. So that's we love that. We always hear from people who play in groups and play at home. We took this to the Alamo. We filled the whole audience. Fans came out, cosplayers, fans of Borderlands, and I think it was the first game to ever premiere at the Alamo. It was a whole lot of fun. We hope to do it again sometime, but the idea of just sitting in a group, shouting at the screen, and sort of playing, it's like a single-player, multiplayer experience. And I think we're excited by it. We're experimenting with that and what we might be able to do. But it's a lot of fun. And we have the second episode of Tales from the Borderlands coming, this week. I don't know if we...
Yes,
Atlas Mugged will start on... March 17th, at least on PC. Pierre, you worked on that game. What was that like?
I'm sorry that it took so long, but it's finally here, and we're all really proud of it, and we hope you all like it. I think it's funny, but when you hear a joke 500 times,
Pierre's going to be the last
nothing's
one to
funny
give himself
anymore.
a compliment on this thing. He's done an amazing job on this episode. It's really strong.
Yeah. So yeah.
I
Hey,
think
Joe,
we have.
do you have the trailer for people
I
who
think
haven't
there's
seen
a
it?
trailer. Do the
Yeah.
guys in the back have a trailer? I'm supposed to say the word trailer a whole bunch until we
Trailer.
remember
Matthew,
that we
huge
want to roll a
trailer.
trailer. All right,
There it
cue
is.
Trailer.
The list of things that might kill us keeps getting longer. Cracks, skags, bandits, dehydration, heat stroke, regular stroke, stroke. I've never felt so alive!
I know that sounds weird, but I just saw Handsome Jack.
Yeah, I know, I'm your hero, you're my biggest fan, blah, blah, blah. These fumes can't possibly be helping.
That map could lead us to a vault. We're not leaving until we know exactly where it's telling us to go.
Enhance image! Enhance!
Please stop.
Why is Hyperion trying to kill us? Don't you work for those guys?
I'll file a complaint with HR when we get back.
Seems like there's some bad men looking for you two.
You're pointing that at a dude who has people shoot him in the chest for fun.
I'm usually drunk.
You can't even begin to understand my intentions. You
think I haven't had to make sacrifices? I brought order to this pisshole of a planet.
Too many people died.
That's what people do!
That is Tales from the Borderlands.
Man, that Fiona, she remains stylish no matter what she's doing. I swear.
I'm a fan.
So you guys, you know Telltale for, a lot of their more mature games that they've done as of late, right? There's been plenty of those. But some games that people tend to forget about are games like these. Why don't we throw up the slide of those games? Any of you guys recognize these guys? Yeah, Sam and Max, Strong Bad, the gang.
So many people know us from Walking Dead, and we did Walking Dead and Fables and Game of Thrones, and those are all these really heavy, mature games. But back in the day, we did a lot of comedy. Everybody remember Sam and Max?
Sam and Max.
Yeah.
Fans.
Okay. Homestar Runner. Yeah. Monkey Island. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah.
And then who's the gnome?
Anyone? We knew this would happen. It's fine.
Puzzle Agent.
It's the hidden people.
So,
Puzzle Agent was actually designed by Graham Annabelle. You may or may not know. He just he was just at the Oscars for the movie The Box Trolls.
Yeah, Graham was he helped start Telltale. He was our first creative director, and he just was director on Box Trolls. So go see Box Trolls if you haven't seen Box Trolls, because Graham did a very nice job.
Or watch it on demand by now if it's out of theaters.
Yes.
In 3D. But no, that's the one thing about Telltale. I started back in 2012, and I've always noticed, I've been following Telltale for 10 years, and they've always been on this trajectory of digital games, straight to the consumer, straight to the player, developed like television. And for the longest time, it was very much, stuff that you could maybe play with the whole family or play with your kid sister, your kid brother, or it didn't really matter. It wasn't really Walking Dead level stuff. So getting into Walking Dead in 2012, again, the last couple of years, Walking Dead, Tales, Wolf Among Us, Game of Thrones. Some Telltale fans might not realize we have this lineage. And then working on something like Borderlands, Pierre, was sort of I wouldn't say it's our first foray of working on games where other games were sort of involved. We did a couple games called Poker Night, The Inventory. Anyone remember those?
Those were excellent.
Poker Night 2. We
Yes.
had the guys, some of the Valve characters, Team Fortress characters. GLaDOS was in Poker Night 2. Claptrap was in Poker Night 2 from Borderlands. So the idea of working on a game sort of around another game franchise kind of originated there in Telltale's thinking. And one of the first times we really dove in was on Tales, and that was just working with the guys at Gearbox. Knew them for a super long time, and we met. Where did we meet? At an award show. We knew each other, but it was at an award show.
At the VGA Awards, I believe.
VGAs. So at the VGAs in 2012, I think The Walking Dead one did very well. We won big. So did those guys. Gearbox is super successful. I remember we were out drinking, celebrating, and we just got to talking. And I think, as the story goes, 9 months later, Tales from the Borderlands was born. That's a game that's a shooter. There is a story involved, but there's a big universe, and there's a lot that we could do if we kind of worked with those guys to make it into a Telltale experience.
I think that's one of those cases where people who are unfamiliar with Borderlands would look at our efforts to make a story-based game around that and think, well, this is a shooter, and how are you going to make a Telltale game out of this shooter? But the people who are really into that as a property and the stories being told within the original Borderlands, it maps pretty cleanly to a game about storytelling and these characters in this world that you can put up against struggles that can't necessarily be solved with firepower. So we saw it as a really interesting opportunity, and certainly Gearbox felt the same way. And I think that the fans of both Telltale and Gearbox pretty quickly understood kind of how we could approach that. It's the people who maybe weren't as into both of those that were scratching their heads a little bit until the first episode was out.
Yeah, that's.
So you guys. Oh, sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was going to say just one of the things that, like festivals like this that we're finding now. We work with so many external partners, people from the game space, people from television, people from films, and particularly young creatives now. They grow up wanting to make television, wanting to make film, and wanting to make video games. This is the medium that everybody's expressing themselves now. There's, you can still go to film school and you can still go to game, programming school, but so many people now are just expressing themselves kind of across the board. That's kind of where Super Show came from at the same time. And events like this, we were just at the BAFTAs where their television and games are first-class citizens next to each other. It's a really exciting time because when you look at technology and game consoles as storytelling mediums, not just gameplay mediums, and then you combine that with people who are really, really great storytellers, either internal to Telltale or external, that's when the magic really starts to happen. But
I think there's a lot of magic in going to events like South by, and I want to say GDC is the Game Developers Conference. A lot of you guys here, I don't know if you know of it. It happens in early spring. It was just last week here. But we were big fans of another game universe.
Yeah, we went
for a long time.
We went to GDC and we met one of our hero companies that we were obsessed with internally, and so they had heard of us and we had heard of them, and we met at this little bar at the hotel at GDC.
Yeah.
And then something magical happened.
Something
kind of
magical
like with
did
Gearbox.
happen. So I don't know if you guys caught this announcement in December, but whether you are familiar with our more grown-up stories like Walking Dead or Wolf Among Us or Borderlands or Game of Thrones or our lineage, crazy game idea came together, and it was called Minecraft Story Mode. And I think we have a special guest here in the audience from Mojang. If we could welcome Lydia Winters, the director of fun from Mojang.
I think story mode, like a lot of the things we work on at Telltale, came from a place of super fandom where, it's something we internally are really excited about. And I think that's key to making a game that players are really going to relate to. I mean, it was true of The Walking Dead, true of Borderlands, true of pretty much everything we do. Certainly Wolf Among Us as well. And, Minecraft is something that I have clocked a lot of hours on and was super excited at the opportunity to work with Mojang and, meet the folks over there, but also to be able to collaborate on, this story that we can tell that's unique to the world of Minecraft. That's, a Telltale game, but a Telltale game that really could only be told in the world of Minecraft.
So, a lot of people are confused about this.
Hi, Lydia.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know who to ask this question to first.
You can ask us
guys
all.
are
You can ask me.
So is this going to be like an original story? Will we see characters that are known in the Minecraft lore already, or are we going to get just completely new stuff?
A little of both.
Awesome.
So, I mean, the thing about Minecraft is it's your own story. You go in the game, you create your own skin, usually you kind of become whatever you want. So what this won't be is it won't be the story of Steve or Alex. Like, okay, here's the story of Minecraft. But it'll be stories set in Minecraft. And we're incredibly excited because we announced that we were doing a movie and then this game with Telltale, a game about a game. It's pretty awesome. And so these will all be all different stories set within the world and within the game. So you should expect some creepers and all of your favorite mobs, but it won't be following Steve around.
That's very good.
For me personally, I've played a lot of Minecraft, but I've also, outside of like Minecraft proper, I've consumed a ton of community content. And there are just loads of people really excited about storytelling with Minecraft as a forum. And, Telltale is definitely included in that group. So there are interesting opportunities to kind of lean into things that are very much grounded in Minecraft, but that also kind of tell a compelling story of these characters that we've been talking about. And having having Mojang in the writer's room as we developed this stuff was a huge help in terms of kind of making sure kind of our vision for this thing is well aligned and kind of sort of storytelling rules that are in play make sense for Telltale and make sense for Mojang. It's been really fantastic so far.
Right. What do you say to people who, have kind of had it embedded in their head that Minecraft is about user-generated content? This is kind of a streamlined experience, or will it be streamlined? Like, will there be some user, created things in there?
Yeah, it's still going to be. It's kind of what Telltale does. It's like when we usually when we do a franchise, we don't do the game of the movie, right? Like our Walking Dead game doesn't have Rick Grimes in it, and the Thrones game, you play a new family. So there's new characters that are created because we want you guys to own those characters, right? Those characters should be who you want them to be, not predetermined. And Steve is pretty can be anything you want him to be, but we're going to give you new characters that you can play with on your own, and that's kind of what we do. I don't think our instincts weren't to go in to establish characters and personalities in the Minecraft world, but to use the world itself as our palette. Kind of that's generally where we approach everything, and then so that's where having you guys in the room when we're putting together the whole creative process of what is this thing going to be has been great, because we know we have the rules of the world right, because whenever we get them wrong, you let us know, which is lovely.
I mean, for us, it makes total sense because you have this vast world that people are doing incredible things in. So what better way to have a narrative-based game than to have one where you actually make choices and you control what happens, because that's very similar to Minecraft. You can kind of go off and do whatever you want. So if there was ever a company to partner with on something like this, everyone in the office is huge Telltale Games fans, and so we were like, yeah, this is a perfect partnership for us to make something interesting in the world of Minecraft and something that everyone goes, what? That's always fun.
Did you guys have anyone else reach out to you about expanding on, the Minecraft universe before you guys went with Telltale? The obvious choice.
Everyone is reaching out to us to expand the Minecraft universe right now. So Telltale was specifically picked because they do a great job in a very specific genre, and they're just making awesome things, and they care about the story. And to us, if we're going to make something about Minecraft, and if there's any story involved, we want it to be an awesome one.
Yeah, it really, we're, the number of people that could be working with Minecraft is huge. Minecraft is this huge phenomenon. And it really did happen at an event like this, noisy like this.
Very noisy.
Where we sat down and we were just like, you guys are awesome. And they were like, you're awesome too. Because they were being nice to us.
We're not nice.
After a couple of hours of just kind of like talking about each other's games and what we liked about each other's games, and that these ideas started to melt together, and it literally was like at the end of that afternoon, we were like, yeah, let's do this. It's just super organic, because I do think these guys are being bombarded with everybody wanting to work with them. And we're super honored to be working with them.
I still have to pinch myself. I remember when we were figuring out what to call this game. I remember getting the email from Lydia and Junkboy and Owen, and we're thinking about what it's going to be called. And then we heard the name Story Mode come from there, and we're like, oh my God, that is so perfect. So awesome. And then we saw Junk's logo came like 2 days before we announced the thing. It came in, and we were just like, oh my God, it's real. Oh my God, we're really looking at this. This is a real thing that we're doing. Oh my God. And we still can't believe it. Everyone at the office is just really hard at work on the series. We spend our free time at the office playing around in Minecraft just for inspiration, just to soak in sort of the logic in the universe. We have Telltale Town at the office. We have our own private server. We're online. What happened
chaos.
with the chickens
Chaos.
and all kinds of crazy experiment? I mean, it's Minecraft, so anything could happen. But at Telltale, it gets pretty nuts. We hesitate to show you. We don't want anyone confused that was the game itself. But But yeah, we're just we're obsessed, just like everyone else, and we're just really honored to be working with these guys. So
yeah, it's funny. I got my first experiences with Minecraft. Like anytime something reaches a certain critical mass, I'm always curious, and this was something I knew I could play with my son, and it's like, okay, we'll spend a few hours together playing this thing, and his bedtime rolls around, and I'm thinking, I bet before midnight I could complete the courtyard of this castle and get a proper wall up. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still hammering away. It's just fantastic.
So, I'm imagining you guys are taking your time with this. This is a really important one. No ETA.
No, we can't. We're not talking about timing right now.
Okay. Thought I'd ask for you guys. I had to ask. But I have to say, that's the thing about you guys, with Telltale. It feels like I'm able to enjoy things more after playing a Telltale game, be it The Walking Dead or Borderlands. Like, I enjoy these things more. So, like, even after playing this, I would imagine it would only enhance, playing Minecraft that much more.
We hope so. We don't do anything unless we're really super fans of it, which is a luxury for us. We really don't do projects, for any reason other than we are really passionate about wanting to work with the people, and we play the heck out of the games. Since we make the games for super fans and we're super fans ourselves, that hopefully that helps us get it right.
Right. I hear you.
And I have to say, I had absolutely no idea the amount of work that their team puts in. I mean, it's absolutely like you play through something and you don't think about all of the time spent on it, and being part of the process, I've just seen like they're some of the hardest working people in the industry, and we're just like constantly impressed by all of the things they're sending and how much they're accomplishing on a daily basis. They're just an incredible team, and we're so happy to be working with Telltale.
It makes Pierre so tired he can barely speak.
Yeah.
Well, on that note,
so how much time we got? We have time for
we have time for Q&A, definitely. Yeah,
Does
for
anyone
sure.
have questions?
Yeah.
Oh man, are there microphones?
Yep.
Folks, we got our runners with mics.
Excellent.
Hey guys, how you doing? So you keep talking about the creative process. When you first start out, do you throw up storyboard picture ideas, or do you just get your writers and shove them into a room and start getting some like little entries into how each level is going to start and work? Or is it just like you just start playing like crazy and then start forming ideas?
Oh man.
We use a fairly straightforward writing room process. I don't know, maybe we can ask Pierre to talk about. He is a writer.
Yeah, no. It starts out with a bunch of writers in a room, a bunch of game designers, and from there, keep doing that. From there, it's a lot of Post-its on walls, a lot of like, because of our branching dialogue, there's a ton of like, it looks like an FBI crime center half the time. It's stuff on the floor and like leftover cups of things that are growing things, and then after a week or two, we have a good sense of where the story is going to go for the season, and we can start kicking off outlines for individual episodes from there.
But I think one of the things that's important to that process is to have enough clay on the table before you're getting that critical mass of writing and design together. Because if you got 10 people in a room, you're like, okay, what are we doing? You need to have, and even if it's just going to get knocked over, something to get things rolling with, an idea of where you're going to start and maybe even where you're going to end. And chances are it's not going to survive in its original form, but just enough material to get moving.
Which is unusual in the game space. Most games start with prototyping and playing, and we spend a huge amount of time kind of with a pen and paper version of the Post-it version of the game. Before we go and actually start building the game.
I remember I was so excited because I was the first person to play Game of Thrones, but it was just off the script. It's like a table read. It's almost like D&D sometimes when we get to that phase. We'll get the team into the room and we'll kind of test it out. Sometimes we'll have iPads, so producers will sort of read it and they'll be the DM, and then like a test player will have to sit in, and then everyone will take a character, and then we'll read through it, and then I'll be there choosing what to say, or what am I going to chop off this person's limb or not chop off that person's limb. But it's so awesome and so fascinating, and just anyone who sort of comes to work at Telltale and has been working in games for a long time or not, like we're at least for now, it seems like we're not a lot of other teams are doing it like this. We want other teams to be doing it like this. We're always looking for more inspiration and other people in the field who are sort of starting in the writer's room like this, and we hope it just happens more and more, honestly.
So many Post-it notes.
Yeah,
I was just in the writer's room at some point, I guess 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, but there were so many, and they had those jumbo ones that I didn't even know existed, and it was just covering the entire walls.
I think we have
you should be sponsored by Post-it.
We have an automatic Amazon Prime subscription to Post-it notes every day.
That's good. The Post-its are great, because if you're writing your stuff down on a whiteboard and you need to erase it to move it around, that's one thing. But if you got ideas you want to stick, but maybe it no longer
don't erase the
whiteboard because
whiteboard.
you need to set it up differently, you can have a lot more flexibility.
It feels really good to crumple up an awful idea and throw it at the person that gave the bad idea, so there's that too.
All right, let's move on to the next question. You've been raising your hand the entire time, so we have to pick you.
Dedication.
Right.
Hello. I have a game designer question. When you're collaborating with other entertainment businesses that don't necessarily make games but like and appreciate games, how do you usually approach working with those people? How fully are they integrated into the development process? How much do you involve them?
We involve them, since we're doing a lot of pen and paper work, they're heavily involved in that phase of it. And we try to get them as involved as much as possible, which I think is a little different for when we do licensed games. A lot of licensed game companies are like, please give us the art and the logo, and then we'll go put it into our driving engine or whatever we do. So we really invite them into the process. We really try to be friendly. Lydia can attest to, we're always like, come on, play with us some more, please.
And we have a lot to say, so maybe they'll get sick of our input.
We're not sick of it yet.
Well, I'd also say, particularly early in the process, when we're working with a new partner, license holder, what have you, I mean, we definitely want to kind of involve them creatively, but also to kind of make them aware of the things we're doing and the care we have for these franchises and how much we're invested in making this thing successful in the ways that made the source content successful. So we tend to really lay it on pretty thick early on and kind of bring people in and kind of make sure that the materials we're generating in pre-production are kind of, everybody understands what's going on with those.
Excellent. All right, you back there. Yes, you, sir. Blue shirt. All right. Him right there in the blue shirt. He's raising his hand.
How do you decide your casting?
That's a great question.
How do we decide casting?
You're able to get some great voices and just shit.
There's a couple of pieces to that process. I mean, a lot of times we'll have some thoughts in mind based on what's coming out of the writing, and the writers will generally put together casting sheets that kind of cover the franchise, that cover the background and kind of a bit of a synopsis for the individual character. And then as a part of our casting process, we'll usually have the writers do a bit of a deep dive to write sample dialogue that expresses a range of emotion that's where we're likely to go with this character, so that we're not listening to auditions that are kind of like this one note, oh, we need this character to be angry, and this person's got a great angry, and then we get in the studio and we need them to be sobbing and sad and can't quite get there. I want to make sure we can avoid that. So that's part of like a broader reach out, is to make sure our casting sheets are really well developed. And then on occasion, we'll identify somebody that we are experienced with their work, we know of them, we've seen what they can do, and we just want to bring them in as a named person, like Patrick Warburton. There was no question of his ability to pull off Vasquez, so that's a case where you don't need a casting sheet to go get Patrick Warburton to do a great Vasquez. You know he can do it, and you go straight for the guy.
And sometimes you just do a great Marty McFly, and then you get the role.
All right, Longhorns.
All right, so Walking Dead is probably one of your really popular franchises, and for good reason. And Skybound, I think on Twitter yesterday, teased something about y'all, and I want to know what that's about. And also, I have another personal question, and Pierre can probably answer this. If season 3 is happening or whatever, is the writing team the same as season 2? Any information about that?
That was good the way he did that. He kind of curveballed that question.
Yeah.
And asked.
So I can kind of field that first, but I don't know if anyone's finished season 2. We finished that last summer in 2014. At Comic-Con 2014, Kevin was up with Robert on their panel, and we confirmed, yes, there will be a 3rd season of Walking Dead at some point. We don't know when yet, yes, but yes, that is a thing. Thank you. Oh man, I'm gonna get an email about this, but it's not necessarily something you can expect to see super soon, but I think you can perhaps maybe expect to see Walking Dead again sooner, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
I'm going to get out of the line of fire between these two.
I'll let the internet work on that one. Yeah. And next question.
But
there's a question
about
writers.
Yeah.
The writers and the writers, we're all kind of on a rotation, so it's just whoever's available, and we have core teams, and then I've worked on 3 different games at this point in 2 years, so it's just a staff that sort of hands off to each other and writes. So.
Excellent.
I didn't hear anything, so.
Did you hear it?
You
okay, that guy.
You get that? You get that?
Okay, good.
Cool.
Awesome. Young lady with the tape recorder in her hand.
Uh-oh.
So, as you did point out, when Telltale did start, you were going down a much more lighthearted route. And since you have gone into themes that are much more mature, much more gritty, and yet now you're doing Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
So is this a turn for a season of Telltale going back to their roots, going back to the lightheartedness that you used to have?
Maybe in some regards, but we've always been we just look at ourselves as interactive storytellers. Why we were doing all that lighthearted stuff earlier in our life, people forget we were also doing CSI at the same time, the forensics games. So there's a lot of dead bodies and gore there. We are kind of coming from an era where we've done a lot of mature rated kind of horrible things. But I think it's more anecdotal. It's just kind of, that's where there were some great stories to be told. So we dove into that. I do think we all felt a bit of a relief, particularly on Borderlands, because after you spend 2 years, day after day, trying to figure out how to torture a little girl, you're ready for some fart jokes. I
think we got a pull quote right
I think
there.
Also with Minecraft, for me, in terms of the notion of switching gears, it's another thing in this bucket of stuff that I love. So. It's not really, I don't think of it as a conscious gear shift. When an opportunity to work on The Walking Dead came along, I jumped at that because I love The Walking Dead and kind of I understand what it is about that appeals to me, and the same goes for Minecraft.
Yeah, it's not like shifting gears and now we're going to do this kind of stuff or that kind of stuff. It's really just about handling different kind of genres where we have sci-fi like Borderlands, sci-fi action comedy, apocalyptic drama, more lighthearted affairs, stuff that's it's about different types of stories all happening at once. And when Minecraft is happening, we'll still have Game of Thrones happening, and our Walking Dead's happening. That's all sort of, we're going to be working on everything all at the same time.
All right. So we got time for one more, and we're going to cut out.
One more. Make it good.
2. Yes. Her right there in the green shirt.
This is for you. I'm wanting to also go into video game writing. How do you go into video game writing? Did you start by going into film writing, story writing? How did you kind of get into that?
So I can only sort of speak for how game writing, how the process with Telltale is. A lot of what we do is it starts in a cinematic place. So my background was in screenwriting in LA, but this is my first industry gig. So that's actually what's cool. I was selling shoes before I did this, so this is all still crazy for me too. But I think writing a lot, and there's always job postings for writing gigs. Sometimes you kind of have to take a smaller gig to be considered for a place like us. But I mean, we have writing opportunities available right now. We're a studio that needs a lot of writing, so we put a high value on it, and they'll take a guy like me who's selling shoes if you have the goods. So that's the best thing I could say about it.
Excellent. All right, guys, if there are any more questions, these guys are actually going to be hanging around a little bit afterwards, so feel free to come on up, ask your questions. But thank you guys for coming out. Give it up for Telltale Games.
Thank you.
And our friend from Mojang here.
Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks very much, Lydia. This is awesome.